Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited about your guest because I know you're going to be talking about jobs, which is really, really important.
Mhm.
And so, just should I bring him up? You're going to tell us who he is, or should I just
Well,
bring
just bring him in. I think it might be nice if he talk a little bit about himself. This is William Craig, Global Workforce Trainers. And William, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself to just sort of do your own intro, if you will?
Well, thank you so much. And it's such a pleasure to be here with you. I wish I was on location with Anthony, but nonetheless, I am a former, I grew up in New York City in Harlem. And so while I grew up in New York and lived between two rivers, I hate the cold.
Wow, and it's cold in New York, that's for sure.
Absolutely. But in any event, professionally, I am your workforce trainer and coach. I'm the guy to help you go from where you are to where you want to be. And I work with individuals, with organizations, with government agencies to help them to get folks back to work as quickly as possible. And it has become my life's work. It was born out of a struggle that I had myself about 10 years or so ago, where I hit that wall. And as I like to say, I felt like I couldn't even buy a job. Does anybody know what that feels like?
We do.
Yeah.
Yes, we
What an
do. I
interesting
think
statement.
everybody does.
And
Yeah.
one of the things I realized at that time was that the marketplace was not going to change for me, and that I had to change for the marketplace. The things that I had been doing weren't working anymore. So I had to find out what it was that I needed to do in the marketplace. And that really, at the time, I had no idea that it was going to actually be the impetus of what would become my life's work. I always knew I wanted to teach. I always knew I wanted to help others. But that brought about a series of events that brought us to where we are today. And I'm so happy to be able to share with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for accepting our invite to the program. A lot of folks, who are on the, in the job market, who have been impacted. I'm sure they're going to be listening quite attentively to what you have to say. And ladies, I'm going to let you do your thing. Have a great show, and we'll talk in a few.
Okay.
Wow.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony. Well, William, you've gotten us excited right at the beginning, because it's interesting. You're talking about a struggle that you had that's taken over 10 years, but keeping in mind what Linda just said about a year of looking at yourselves and reflection, things like that, a lot of what most of us were doing no longer applies. So we're really excited to hear you talk about, you've got a little bit of a formula for us. And so we're going to just let you do your thing.
Well, thank you. And certainly, I want this to be interactive, because I'm sure your viewers, your listeners may have some questions, and because they're not with us, they can't ask them. So by all means, if there's something that pops up, just let me know, and I'll slow it down just a little bit. But
We will. I think the prevailing question that is, how do I recover? How do I start? How do I pull my boots up, and where do I go to get help to find employment, or to training, or to even start a business that they can be very passionate about and still make money for them?
gosh, Linda, there's so much that's there. And so let's unpack it one by one.
Yes.
And I'll start by telling you just a quick story. So folks, if you're multitasking, if you're, cooking, I want you to just zoom in with us for just a moment and listen, because I'm going to drop some nuggets here based on my own personal experience. And that's what I've found has really been, I guess, the strong suit for me is telling personal stories, because at that point, people hear you and they say, wait, that sounds like me, as opposed to something that just came out of a book. Okay. So it's not theory. This is real. So one of the things that happened was, anybody remember something called the Great Recession?
Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Well, during the Great Recession, right at the height, this guy right here, William Craig III, had the bright idea to start a business, to quit his good job and start a business.
Wow.
And so I share that because there's this axiom in Chinese culture that where there's conflict, there's also opportunity. And if you go back in history, what you find is that many of the great businesses of our time were started during times of conflict, during times where the economy was tanking, during times where people were in the gloom and doom phases of their lives, and somebody saw opportunity. And why I mention that is because that's where we are today. 2020 has been one of those times that most of us, outside of the Great Recession, really had not experienced. We know that back 102 years ago, the Spanish flu killed 10 times as many people as COVID-19 has. But at the same time, we weren't there, so we don't know how the country recovered. And so the nice thing, and I know that may sound simple to say the nice thing about COVID-19, but here's what I'll say. The nice thing about it is it has been a great equalizer.
Yes.
Wow.
And what I mean by that is that, as I drive around Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, I see boarded up stores. I see restaurants that no longer exist. I see stores, big box stores that are gone. Stores like Macy's. A few weeks ago, I drove around, was boarded up, shut down. The Marriott Hotel, Renaissance Hotel, next to the big convention center in downtown nation's capital of the United States, shut down. Thousands of people out of work. And so I share that with you because if you're just an individual sitting at home saying, hey, I don't have a job, I can't seem to find a job, woe is me, take heart, because it's not just you. And when you hear people say, or business owners say, we're in this together, trust me, they really are in this with you. So here we go. As I was being interviewed for iHeartRadio, and the interviewer asked me a question. He said, William, what do we do now? Because, we know what the facts are. We know that there is no real end in sight until a vaccine comes on the scene. And right now, we're actually at a point where folks are actually getting vaccinated. So we believe that's going to be a good thing. And by the spring, we're hoping that, everyday people across the country and around the world will be receiving this vaccine, and it's going to work. But here's what I want you to know. And this is what I shared during that interview. I came up with what I call the 4 R's of transition during COVID-19. The 4 R's of transition during COVID-19. Now, this is applicable. We're talking about jobs today, but it's applicable to business owners as well. So if you're out there and you own a business, I want you to listen up. Now, if you all remember when we were growing up, because I believe you all are in my peer group, I know they're over 35, but in any event, when we were growing up, they talked about the 3 R's. Do you remember what they were?
Yeah, they were reading, writing, and without the A, arithmetic.
Arithmetic. Very good. You get the gold star today. All right. So here we go. Reading, writing, arithmetic. I'm not going to talk about those 3 R's. I'm going to talk about my 4 R's. And the first one you all are familiar with, Carolyn and Linda, is reset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the name of Anthony's. This is the name of Anthony's segment. It's about resetting.
How appropriate. Nothing happens by accident, I believe.
Nothing.
And so what I want listeners to hear today, what I want viewers to realize is that the number one key to getting through the transition during COVID-19 is, as it relates to your career, is you've got to reset. And here's what that means to me. You've got to look at this as today is day 1. I'm going to go and I'm going to erase the board, if you will. And I'm going to create a new mindset, understanding that I'm not in this alone, that businesses are struggling to survive just like I am. And guess what? There's some value that I have that I need to share so that I can move forward and I can help someone else move forward. Does that make sense so far?
Wow, I am loving it. What a positive way to start. Yes, I absolutely love it. There's something very calming about just hearing that.
Yes, and I think it's important that everyone really check themselves in that mental health space that has allowed them to stay in that rut and get the help. We've had guests on to talk about that, because to execute this first R in its full intent is to address some of those mental health issues that have put them into that rut or the routine of thinking, it's doom and gloom. When there are resources everywhere, we just have to help people to access them for right now. So reset is a great
I
thing.
love it.
And would that be, not to be, to think of it as just yourself, you're not alone. So that means don't feel that, prideful. Work towards this, really think about whether or not some of the issues are steeped in pride. I know that sounds punitive, but it helps you to relieve yourself of the burden of actually believing that you have to stay where you were and figure out how to cross the bridge exactly where you are. Sometimes it's okay to go down to the valley, get into the water and swim across versus going over the bridge just exactly where you are. And so that's a new mindset, but I really love this one. Checking into the fact that they have value and worth. So that's
Yes, I love that.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to build on that because here we go. This new mindset, if you will. Here's what I want you to understand. And again, this is one of those things that it hit me because what you plant in your mind will grow.
Yes.
I'm going to say that again. What you plant in your mind will grow. And when I looked at the word reset, what I saw was that if you just play with the letters, R-E-S-E-T, play with those letters, and that also spells trees. Reset.
Oh, I'm loving it.
And so if you want to plant the right kind of tree so that you get the right kind of fruit, you're going to have to reset as we go into 2020.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So number one, the first R of transitioning during COVID-19 is number one, you're going to have to reset. Make today, and they used to have a saying, today is the first day of the rest of my life.
That's it.
And so literally you need to take that to heart and say, you know what? Don't care what happened. Don't care what's not happening. Today is the first day of the rest of my life. I'm going to reset. I'm going to put on a new mindset. I'm going to plant some seeds in my mind that says that whatever it is that I want, I have the power to make it happen. So that's R number one.
All
Ready
right.
for R number two?
Yep,
we
I'm
are.
turning my page.
We're going to move it along.
All righty, here we go. After we reset, the next thing we have to do is we have to reflect. Reflect. So we're going to sit and we're going to calm everything down. I just want to take a step back a moment because you said something at the opening that was so very important. This whole idea of finding that job, and I like to call it a job campaign versus a job search. A campaign because a campaign is proactive as opposed to a search being reactive. Oh my gosh, where's my next job coming from? Where can it be? No, stop that. We're campaigning. I know what it is I want to do. And guess what? Doggone it, I'm going to find the place where I fit in. And so I want you to reflect first on the past value that you brought to the marketplace. Reflect on the past value. And you say, well, wait a minute. Well, if I reflect on the past value, that things aren't working for me, what good is that? Because what you have to look at next is how or what changes do you need to make as it relates to the value that you bring to the marketplace so that you can be valuable in today's marketplace. And really, if you want to be honest about it, can I over-deliver just a little bit?
Yes.
Yes, please.
It's not about just looking at today's marketplace. It's anticipating what tomorrow's marketplace is going to look like.
Wow, love it. Love it.
One of the things that I did, and again, just a little sidestep, but I want to make this relevant for folks. One of the things that I did was having had the disappointment of saying, wow, I had no idea the value of a face mask, in 2019. If I knew what the value of a face mask would be in 2020, I would have bought all the stock that I could have afforded. I would have called all my friends. I would have said, mortgage your homes because we're going to buy all the stock that we can in companies that make face masks. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I would not have looked at 3M as a little Scotch tape company. Okay. My brain would have been somewhere else. So good point.
So now we understand that we have to look at a large number of all the learnings that people have gained and determine what's next.
Come on now.
And then take it upon themselves to use the time that they have to look at that anticipatory or that emerging marketplace that they can participate in one way or the other.
Love it.
Now, I want to make sure we get everything in because our time is ticking down.
I know.
my
Okay, come over to number 3 because
We
you
get too
Okay.
juicy now.
Okay. So here's the last part of number 2, reflecting the past market value. Well, how or what changes that you got to make? As the old folks say, you got to be able to see around the corner and then be able to articulate your value everywhere with everything, with your cover letter, with your resume, with your elevator pitch. You've got to be able to articulate that. So reset, number 1. Number 2, reflect. Number 3, now you're going to retool.
Ooh.
You're going to retool. Because here's the deal. In order to be valuable in tomorrow's marketplace, you got to get the skills that you're going to need today.
Mhm.
And let's just go over a couple of basics. Number 1, computer skills are key. Number 2, social media platform skills are key. Number 3, learning how to use apps are key. And whether, I've worked with older workers, 50 and over, as an adjunct, I've worked with younger people at the community college, but we're all in the same boat. And unless you have the key skills that are needed in today's marketplace, you're going to be left by the side of the road. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's so awesome. Yes.
And I'd like to add for viewers and listeners that all of what you just said, Mr. Craig, that those skills can be acquired for free online.
And here
They
we
can be
go.
acquired through your local workforce development or employment office for free.
Listen, LinkedIn, everybody knows LinkedIn, yes?
Most people probably do.
Okay, here we go. Microsoft owns LinkedIn. They paid some $16 billion for it. So they have something called LinkedIn Learning. It used to be called lynda.com. Through your local libraries, most of you can access LinkedIn Learning, aka lynda.com, for free. GCFlearnfree.org. The Goodwill Foundation owns GCFlearnfree.org. They have all kinds of videos. Coursera.org. Coursera, and then opportunity.linkedin.com. Opportunity.linkedin.com will give you free access to training that Microsoft is making available with LinkedIn through the end of the year. So what does that mean? You have no more excuses.
So
But
give us the last website. You said CGF Learning.
Okay, no, let me give it to you. So here they are. LinkedIn Learning is accessible through your local libraries. All you need is a library card, and you can get that online these days.
Okay.
The next one is G as in George, C as in Charles, F as in family, learnfree.org, GCFlearnfree.org. The next one is Coursera, Coursera, COURSERA.org. And then finally, opportunity.linkedin.com.
Awesome.
All
Those
right.
are amazing resources.
Absolutely. And again, all of this is free. And I like free. Okay.
I love
And
that.
what's nice about that is that we encourage everyone to immediately go online after the show and take a look at what you can see that's going to spark your interest. It may not be exactly what you did before, but it might be the opportunity to do what you always wanted to do going forward. And that's what 2020, for those who are looking for employment, this is that opportunity. This is that time.
Absolutely.
That's
So
that
let's
reset.
get to the fourth R, because you guys are telling me we're running out of time.
Fourth
So
R.
the fourth R is relaunch. Relaunch.
Okay, these are none of the R's I thought you were going to come out with, but I am so in love with this R. So relaunch.
Relaunch. You got to now embrace the change. Okay, that bad word, change, right? Embrace the change and tell the world. Tell them who you have become. Tell them who you want to become. Show them why you're the aspirin for their headache.
Oh
And
my goodness. Can you just say that one more time? Because that is so delicious.
look, show them who you have become. Tell them who you want to become. and show them why you are the aspirin for their headache. Did you know that there are over 150 types of headaches?
I had
No,
no idea.
And
I
so
thought there were only two.
that's why there are so many different headache or pain relievers on the market, because they each do something different. And guess what? Each of you that are listening, each of you who are watching, you can do something different. And the way you do it, nobody does it like you do. So you've got to relaunch, embrace the change, tell the world, show them why you're the aspirin for their headache. But here we go. You said something earlier, and I want to go back to it. I'm going to add a fifth R, and that is rest.
Yes.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And I love that. When you said that, I said, oh, there's another R, because you need to take time for your health, for your physical health. Maybe you need to go for a walk around the block, eat better. For your mental health, avoid negative people and negative situations. And for your emotional health, have a virtual coffee with a friend, or even get a good movie that'll make you laugh out loud.
Oh,
All
my
right.
goodness. Yes, laughter is so key.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So listen, I got something free I want to give away. Can I give away something for free?
Oh my goodness, we love free stuff.
And I'm doing this because you all invited me to be a part of your show, and I like to give back wherever I can or pay it forward. So here we go. If your audience will go to transitionsecrets.com, transitionsecrets.com, there you will find my gift to you, one of the ebooks that I wrote that is the top 3 secrets to getting hired, yes, even in the midst of COVID-19. And what you will find in that is the 3 things that every employer wants you to know, but won't tell you. So
Wow.
transitionsecrets.com, and that's from me to you and your audience.
What a wonderful
Outstanding.
gift. Do you realize, because we live in this region, there are some persons that as of 5 o'clock today, their employment will cease for a minimum of 1 month, but depend on the economic impact of that actual restaurant, they may not have a job to come back to in a month. So having this positive information right now is amazing. Thank you. This is a big deal.
Well,
Thank you.
my life's work, again, it's born out of my own struggle and the things that I had to do. And now I talk to employers almost on a daily basis to ask them what they're looking for. And again, these are the things that are going to help your audience, whoever is out there who is either in the midst of change or on the verge of change, to actually transition into new employment or even better employment during COVID-19 and beyond.
So I have some questions regarding some of the more practical things that individuals need to tactically do right now. If they haven't had a resume this year and they needed one, to get with the resources that will help them.
Okay.
And that's another R, but that's not this R.
Good work, Linda.
And this is just coincidence, another R. And I'm thinking to restore some of the relationships, yet another R, that maybe with their former employer, that can help them write recommendation letters. Where are we getting all these R's from?
Oh my goodness.
It's just reality.
It is reality. And you know why? Because you have to be resilient.
Come on now. Come on now.
Let's just make this whole thing, because this is a reset program. So, being able to restore their confidence that they can actually do something different. No one said you have to do the same thing all your life. You get the opportunity to have job episodes. You have your first episode and your very first job, and then you move through all of the different episodes of your life.
And what this does is it renews and reinvigorates a passion.
Ooh, this is our fest. Renew, reinvigorate. Okay, you see, Linda and I both take notes.
We take our notes in our orange colored, because we're Orange Wall Enterprises, and so.
And I'm part of the orange team here. If you know,
with that necktie on.
That's exactly right. So that's a good thought process to reinvigorate and restore that confidence, because that's what's shaking so many people to even get up and get out the rut and get out the routine. And we just want to encourage everyone that there is restoration all around you.
Boom. That's another. And Anthony, let me just, I mean, with William, I will just say this to you. With January starting an entire new year, we're going to have to ask you to return so we can revisit.
I love it. I
So
love
we
it.
can revisit the way you've given us these 4 key points and even added a fifth one. We might need to bring you back just to go one at a time to help people in a real way.
Right.
Well, I'm telling you, it's resounding with me right now.
We are rejoicing. You see? Because we know that there are, so as Carolyn said, in the Washington metropolitan area, we are seeing right now and getting the news flash, the articles coming over of restaurants shutting down. And I know the article specifically she's mentioning, and they're going to be, they said, take care of their employees because they saved and they did some things right to be able to weather the storm.
Right.
But that's not necessarily everyone, and no indictment on those individuals. It's just that the economy is an ecosystem. And when there is such an insult to that ecosystem and a disruption such as COVID-19, and the ability, then there's a lot of resetting, a lot of corporate resetting that normally happens anyway at the end of the year, but now is accelerated. So now we have something called remote working. I mean, this R thing is just
This is ridiculous.
okay.
Let me just one more thing because you mentioned resumes that might seem like relics. So here's what I'm going to do. If I can, I and my team will review any resume that seems to be a relic. Just send the resume to me at william@globalworkforcetrainers.com. We'll do a free review for you. How about that? William@globalworkforcetrainers.com.
Let me repeat. You're going to review relic resumes.
Yes.
That's
at William at Global
Workforce Trainers.com.
William at globalworkforcetrainers.com.
Send your resumes and your relic resumes. We will review them absolutely with no revenue intent at all.
Oh my
And we're
goodness.
gonna ask if you can put into your subject matter reset so we
Yeah.
know that you come from the program.
Yes.
Exactly.
And we are getting ready to bring in our amazing colleague, Terry, who's in New York. So did you hear that, Terry? This is our colleague.
William at workforcetrainers.com.
Global Workforce Trainers.
Global Workforce Trainers. Got it.